Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about faith in the doing. Faith in the doing is, trusting that God will do what's necessary. God will do what's right. God will do what He sees fit, not. And most of the time we think that, oh, faith is all about God doing what I want. No, faith is God doing what God wants to do for you, for Him to do what is right for the situation. So sometimes we get caught up in this zone where we think that, oh, because I want it this way, why does He want it that way? But we must remember that God is the one who's in charge of everything. So as I'm going through Genesis. So I'm reading this, now I'm on chapter 22, so I just thought I'll make a video on that. And then it just come to my spirit that just to be able to understand, I hope I can be able to break it down into how I'm understanding this. So this is the part where God says to Abraham, take your son to the mountain of Moriah and sacrifice him. And Abraham has waited for a very long time for the son, and he's really, really, I don't know what he did, because this was said to him the day before he goes to the mountain. I'm sure he was like praying, trying to change God's mind, like, God, are you sure this is what you want me to, are you sure? But Abraham is really a father of faith. So what he did, let me read. I would read from Genesis 22. I'll start from verse 1. So some time passed. God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, and he replied, here I am. Then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sorry, it's not mountains, region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will show you. Early the next day, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took with him two of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut through enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servant, stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go there. We will worship, then we will come back. Do you hear that? We will worship, then we will come back. How did he know that he will come back? We is the part that I want to really talk about. How does he know? What is he talking about when he say we will come back? It's like, sometimes we get stuck in situations and then we really, really, really have no idea what's going to happen. But we just hold on to this hope, this idea that God, He's the God who shows up. Abraham trusted that God knew what He was doing. If he had to slay his own son, God is able to resurrect people from the dead. Because for him, what was more important? Because the our Christian life is all about denying our feelings, what we want, and carrying our cross every day to follow Christ. It's the same thing. There's so many things we want. Abraham would have said, no, God, no. You know that willpower that we carry? He could have said, no, I'm not doing that. I've waited for so long. I was 100 when you gave me this boy. 100. Do you know how old that is? 100. Sarah was 90. Imagine carrying a baby with 90-year-old hips. And then now, he decided that he's going to go. And, I'm pretty sure he didn't tell Sarah. I don't know, but do you think that he told Sarah, the son that you carried with 90-year-old hips, I'm just going to take him and, slay him because God said we must. We confront so many people when God gives us a promise, when God gives us a dream, when God has spoken to us. We tell so many people. We shouldn't do that because people sometimes have a way of just putting their ideas into our heads. We must trust that God knows what He's doing when He's spoken a promise over your life. Imagine if Abraham had told let's say his mom was still alive, and say, Mama, God said, I was like, no, you're not sacrificing my only grandchild. God will find something else to do. God will find something else to sacrifice. We must protect what's important to us because God knows what He's doing. It's all about who you become in the process. So Abraham here, he goes on to say, Abraham took the wood. This is verse 6. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two went on, Isaac spoke up and said to his papa, Father. Yes, my son, Abraham replied. The fire and the wood are here. Isaac said, but where is the lamb of the burnt offering? Abraham replied, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the two of them went together. He understood the concept of who God was. God had promised Abraham his son. Even if Abraham ended up having a son with Hagar, who was the slave of Sarah, he knew that what God has spoken hasn't come to pass yet. Even if Sarah, women, we got our own situations right there. Like Abraham was told by his wife, since I can't give you a son, let me just decide what's good for the situation. I'm gonna go to my slave and have sex with her, have a baby. Abraham is like, okay, I can do that. It's really, really important for us to trust God in situations He has placed us in. It's severely important to trust God in the path that He has you on. Faith is all about stepping out, not knowing what's going to happen, but knowing that you are on the path that He has placed you in. We rush to get out of seasons. We rush to get out of places and ways. But the most important thing we must always remember is God is to be trusted. He wants us to trust Him more and more and more. He wants us to be better people, to be more like Christ. This is really one story that teaches me to always wake up and denying my feelings and denying things and denying all these other things that the world has enticed me with. And always consider that, I have to put God first. I have to consider what would God feel about the situation. Because the enemy always puts ideas into your head like, oh, I know you miss this. I know you miss that. You'll be like, you know what? I personally say this to myself. I actually have a conversation with myself. Because, ideas will start coming of your life before Christ and all these things that you used to do. And then I'll be like, oh, not really. You know what? Let me tell you why I don't miss that. Let me tell you why I don't miss it. Because when I do that thing, whatever that is, it's joy for 2 minutes. And after that, I feel like garbage for days and days and days. I don't miss feeling like that. I don't miss feeling like that. It's the feeling that comes after I've done something. I enjoy being liberated from certain sins. I enjoy being free from them. Christ died so that I can be completely free. Not that I can be free sometimes. No. It's all about being free, period. Christ didn't die so that we could have half, half cold, half... No, Christ died so that we could be on fire for Him. We could live a life that honors Him. Abraham understood the concept that whatever He says He would do it. God is not in a rush. His timeline is His timeline. We learn to surrender our timeline to Him. God saw what Abraham was all about. So in verse 9, He said, when they had reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham! Abraham! Here I am, he replied. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you do not withhold from me your son, your only son. You understand? He's only, I don't know, I can't say begotten, but his only dearest son, the one whom he had cried out to God for. He did not hold him. He said, God, whatever you see fit, that's what I want. Whatever you want, that's what I want. Because I know if I hold on to this thing, trying to serve it myself, it's going to choke me or I'm going to choke it. There's no life without you in the center of it. He could have said no, because at the beginning it says God was testing him. He could have said, no, God, I've waited so long for this. I can't give it up now. I can't. The most important thing we have in life is a life that's centered on God. faith, faith, faith pleases God. It's impossible for us to live a life to please God without it. No. It's all about faith and trusting Him and just saying whatever you long for, that's what I want. He's going to carry you anyway. He is going to carry you. He is the God who delights in just being the center of everything. I hope you're well. Much love from me too. Don't forget to subscribe.